at least let you know that my majestic view this evening is actually coming from the vibrant blend of cultures, dream, and aspirations that Oklahoma offers. And I am Chaste Inegbedion, author of Bomisi and even the period passport. I'm based here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I find inspiration in the intersections of life's journey. And I'm so excited to be speaking to this beautiful and wonderful lady in the media and speaking about this book and my experiences.
I love that. Now, tell us more about, well, actually, this is probably a conversational question. So, I'm really passionate about this topic. I'm excited about this topic. I'm glad you chose the Majestic View to come on this topic because I've had the honor to travel to 4 African countries, and all of them are very, very diverse. So, Ghana was first, Gambia was second. I once married a West African and helped him to immigrate here, and then we also traveled to Senegal, and I got to go to South Africa. And while I was in South Africa, I went to the area. I didn't actually go to the what do you call it, Robbins Island in South Africa, where Nelson Mandela was prison, but I did go to the Apartheid Museum. And while I was there, I was just able to witness these similarities, So where have you traveled to internationally?
For me, the experience has been lovable because I've had the privilege of exploring diverse corners of the world, from the bustling streets of Lagos to Abuja and to the other 36 states in Nigeria, to the historic charms of Paris Airport. I've not actually been to the Eiffel Tower, but I've been to South Korea, Jeonju. That was my experience of going to the United Nations 6 or 7 conference at that time. I've been to South Africa, like you mentioned, the beautiful town of Cape Town, Pretoria, and Johannesburg. I've also been to Marrakesh in Morocco, and I love the nightlife there. It's like a country that never sleeps. Then transitioning through fascinating airports, especially the silent mode in Dubai airport. Like, that's one airport that they don't even announce the flight. It's just so silent. And I'm like, how would one not miss their flight going through Dubai? But exciting for me, travel is fun, and even exploring states, even in the US, like Ohio, and also my experience to Atlantic City just shows the vast area of why travel is very important.
Well, this book that you've written, and by the way, I'm going to be going to South Africa in October next month. So I am October, we're almost at the end of August, very excited and looking forward to that experience, to be able to share the enthusiasm that my sister shares and having gone to the motherland. But Chase, what inspired you to write this book?
Bomisi was inspired by my own journey as an African immigrant in the US. Bomisi is also a tale of stories of how African immigrants also relate with African Americans. Like, I wanted to start with the story of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, does Black lives really matter even among the Blacks? Do we as Blacks also protect ourselves? Do we support Black-owned businesses? Would we lend our voices? It's the same way, like you mentioned, like you're going to South Africa, and I can remember a couple of years back before I relocated to the US, it was another conversation around Nigerians and South Africans. There was xenophobia. South Africans were not wanting Nigerians to be in their space, and it was a killing of all sorts. And the question you begin to ask is, how are we able to tell that story? So we're able to capture the resilience, the triumphs, and challenges that immigrants face as they chase their dreams in a new land. So that's pretty much Bomisi's tale.
And if you don't mind me asking, what was your perception of the Negro prior to coming to the United States? I've had some conversations with other people who come to the US who are adorning the same colors that we have. but the message that they are given about interacting with the African American can be interesting. So can you share with us some of the things that you had heard about Black people in America?
I think the tale I would be able to relate with would be the ones we've been able to see in movies like Coming to America and a couple of other stories that we've been told. Truly, when somebody call you the N-word and say you're a nigger or something. But truly, we saw that from a reminder of the slave trade, how we've been able to have our family go through the scourge of chasing the American dream or going to Europe and other parts, which is one of the things that we interrelated in the book about the Jackpot syndrome. We've had families of ours who had been able to move from their own homeland to another country for greener pasture. And the Negro interpretation of also being able to trace by the white man, like we call them Oyinbo, where we come from, is to be able to see how we're able to transcend those pressing issues and being able to make sure that the use of the N word is not in a reflection of our lives.
That's so powerful. And I think it's really interesting as well, because once you take those experiences too, those first impressions, and then you get into any workforce, and then especially the tech industry, where it's different, where you can see people or not see people. Some people will still judge you by your name, still judge you by your accent. And so, that's just one aspect of the tech industry. But having, known that you've studied, product marketing, product management, what really was that really key decision for you to choose, this is the one I want to go into?
So for me, I've always wore the hat of social impact. So I used to be, I've always had the P's in my names or titles, like from program management to project management. Most of the times when even the iconic product management title came in, we were practically already even doing product management before technology, like the typical brand packaging of products, like your biscuits. I used to work in the Olam Group as a factory where they make cookies, and we were in charge of how products were being packaged and what messages were being sent through. There were not even social media there. It was typically about event activation. So becoming a product manager, marketing manager, and wearing the hat of being a product manager or product owner, allowed me to combine my passion for technology and storytelling. It's a role that helped me bridge the gap between the technical aspects and user experience, which I find incredibly fulfilling. But it comes with the odds of you want to be in tech, you want to earn six figures. So that overwhelmingness of even being in the relocating as an immigrant, trying to get all of the certifications, because that was another thing that Bomisi also projected in the book. If you get to read the book, is the version of making sure at least how much certifications do you have to get before you can break into tech. And it's been an exciting journey for me, having to take on some of the certifications from Microsoft Azure, project management certification, like when building up all the certifications, Salesforce, Azure, the questions they ask, does that translate quickly into getting a tech job as an immigrant or as someone who is relocating to the US to break into tech and break into corporate America?
Do you think that there is a false sense of, I'm going to get here and I just need to get there and all is going to be well, when you talk about all of the challenges? And I ask that question because my godson is from Cameroon and he played basketball for a university here. And so he was able to get his master's degree. But coming out of college with no experience and having a master's degree and the challenges of getting hired because he didn't have the work experience, and employers have to show that they can't find an American who can do the job. Well, he had no idea that that was going to be an obstacle as he was playing basketball for a university, making them proud on the basketball court, but nobody filled him in on the challenges that he was going to face trying to get a job, trying to be employed in this country. So what advice would you have for people coming from other countries, immigrants who are especially entering in the tech industry?
I think for me, my advice would still be on resilience. It's just like when we're growing up as kids, our parents would tell you when you're done with school, you get a job, and you want to be able to. I remember when my mom's friend, which sometimes I still feel very angry at, when we're younger, she would say, if you come out in flying colors, I'm going to take you to the universities in the UK, and I'll go online, start filling up applications for different universities in the UK. Like the number of brochures that I had in my house from Leicester to Oxford, just being able to get that. It's the same way about an immigrant who wants to come into the US to work in corporate America. And you are like, what kind of job can get me the kind of money that I can earn? And someone to say, technology, and you want to be able to like, how do you bridge that gap of understanding, of making sure that you're right for the job? So for every immigrant also, I would always say to them also, be very positive about the mindset, because you're going to hear different stories that would be a trigger for you to even want to be in that space. For me, in the earlier stages of my interviews or trying to get a job, it was all about my accent. Oh, you sound like this. 30 minutes goes before they even ask about your professional experience. It's all about, where do you come from? You sound a certain way. What do you do? Why are you here? The questions that can be very, very, you feel to be very provocative, and depending on who is asking the questions, or when you have somebody who's practically using 30 minutes of that interview not to scale on your professional experience, but more around, oh, I've visited Nigerian. Do you speak English? Do you eat a certain food? And I'm like, is this still part of the interview? But you want to be able to make sure these, if you are in that stage, having a better way, but it's a different experience from different people. So one opinion cannot count to the rest of everyone.
I think you ought to do workshops for people in HR, because who's going to tell them? If we don't tell them, who's going to tell them?
That's true. That's true. And for me, I feel there should even be a workbook, even when people get the job. Because I remember one of my experiences of even getting the job. One of the complaints I got was, where I come from, if you greet someone, you want to be able to confirm if they heard your greeting. So, Pamela, good morning. Maybe Pamela didn't answer. You want to be able to say, Pamela, good morning. And this person concerned was I was greeting them twice. I was forceful in greeting them. So it gives a lot of being able to have some traditional undertone in terms of, how does this person understand you? At first it was a quest of language. Oh, you speak bad English. Oh, but I speak British English because I was from a country colonized by the British. Why do you say I speak bad English? And it's a lot, sometimes
It's a lot for us too, you know
yes,
that?
when the writing for Bomisi was done, it came with a lot of emotions. It has a fictional side to it, but truly it's the story of so many people and the experiences they have to face and what they're still facing, relocating to not just the United States, but to their dreamland, like they mentioned.
Absolutely,
Can,
yeah. And
can I ask
actually
this
one of
one
my
question? Okay, sorry.
yeah, well, I was gonna say my favorite part of the book was that was my favorite part of the story in the book. That although it is fictional about what it was like to really kind of get to the U.S. and go from job to job to job, even though back home you have the equivalent of a master's degree in your industry. And I remember so vividly, my own ex-husband really went through the same thing. He studied, aerospace engineering and electronics engineering, was working at the airport, pretty much out of the highest position you can get at the airport. And he gets here, he gotta, be a CNA first. He gotta, work at a warehouse first before he finally was able to, not have so many rejections in his resume and job search and actually start at being a ramp agent. So that's my favorite part of how relatable, Bemesi truly is. But yeah, go ahead, Pamela.
Well, just adding to that, when we are aware that these things happen across the board, because there is a there is a structure in place to protect those who are already there. Even I've heard stories of in government jobs where they have to have a certain number of people of color before they started privatizing everything. If an African American or person of color was the most qualified, they would pull the job and wait another 5 or 6 months before they post it again, in hopes that that person who was the best qualified has found another job. I think this whole employment thing, my sister deserves a show in and of itself, because we also don't, when we do see people in positions, we don't realize what they've gone through to get that. So I'm certainly looking forward to reading your book and your story that you're sharing, especially from an African man's perspective.
Yes, and truly what I would always say is, for those who are settling in or who are already here and who have already had their experiences, is to see continuously embracing their roots. Resilience is the word, being courageous is the word. And truly the fact is that some of this information needs to be passed to all quarters. We need to be informed. Like if you notice in the book Bomisi, there was even a conversation between Africans and African Americans, because even the African Americans and the Africans still have the conversation who is always treated right. Why African Americans still see Africans as still coming to take their job. I remember working in a warehouse, and it was a quest of, if you were part of the Latina or Latino community, they have a special section in the warehouse where you don't even go close to. And I respect them so much because they even take their language more importantly. They show that camaraderie, that community. They speak their language with comfort. And that's the same way we feel people should be comfortable from where they come from, and they do not have to struggle with that.
But it's part of the divide,
Yes.
helping to make sure we stay divided. Even the
Mhm.
stories that I've heard about Black Native Americans who, slaves that ran away and integrated into Native American tribes. And then there was this effort to make sure that the Native Americans knew that if they joined forces with Black people, that we will kill you. And they did. They would wipe out whole tribes that had integrated Black people. And so, because I've always wondered, why didn't the Native Americans come and stand side by side with Black people? Well, the indoctrination had already taken place. And that's how it is with the immigrants who are coming. This divide, to think that you're taking our jobs, I've never felt that way. And I think that may be something that's planted in the minds of immigrants, but I don't think Black people, I've never heard a Black person who thought that. You may have heard somebody say it, but we're glad to see you coming. Help us. We need all the help we can get.
That's a mouthful right there, like I could say
It's
so
a
much
mouthful.
about
Like it's complicated. It's like being in a relationship where you say it's complicated. Like I said, I do always appeal to people also not to relate with people based on their nationality. Like everyone should take responsibility for themselves. I will not accuse you of being Pamela of African America, or being Chaste, who is Nigerian immigrant, or seeing someone Marrakesh, say because you're a Latino. There should be this room for love, collaboration, connection, as long as you can get the company's job done, or you can get to at least impact the country as a whole. We should not see ourselves as threats. That's what I would say.
We shouldn't, but the infrastructure that exists with the propaganda is what helps to divide us. I had a Black person from Colombia said that when they were coming here, he was told, don't trust the Negro, don't trust the Black Americans. It's like, isn't that funny? Every mass shooting in America has been somebody white. They used to hang us in trees and burn us. And you're going to tell people not to trust Black people, and you're a Black person coming to America. And I've heard that more than once. So I think we need to have more of these conversations among ourselves. It's so needed, so needed. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your book.
Thank you so much.
And speaking of the book, I'm going to just kind of share the screen at the moment so that people, Chase, you can even talk about it right now. Like, where can people get the book? What is the book generically about? Um, and where should people get it?
So why should people get Bomisi? It's a reflection of how we can all been able to inspire ourselves, how we've been able to see how we can all work to achieving our American dreams, irrespective of where you come from. And the book is available online. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And we're working towards a launch for the September 30th. Also, so if you're live in Tulsa, come be a part of us. Get the book. We have the Kindle offer on 99 cents right now. Get the book, do a review, and it'll be exciting to see how much more we can all embrace learning. We can stay curious, and you'll be able to at least see fascinating how the narratives of the characters in the book, Bomisi, Israel, his experience as a caregiver, getting a jet drive, and thank you, Zakira, for at least getting the first copy of the book and doing a review on the site. We want to be able to call everyone to say, okay, let's see how much more we can help tell the stories. And anyone you meet on the road, do not be deterred by where they come from. Be supportive and let's preach the Black love.
Now, speaking of love, everybody is loving artificial intelligence right now. They're loving the use of technology, and everybody has different opinions on it. Pamela, being from one of our previous generations, our previous era before the millennial era, it can be kind of new, right? It's like, one of those moments where, like you said, resilience is important. But what I've noticed is that it can actually really help those who have English as their second or fifth or third language. But what is your take on AI right now, and how, one as an immigrant, one as someone who's in product management, how do you think it should be utilized in this day and age?
AI can be a powerful tool for improving English skills. It provides personalized learning, it boosts your language confidence, it offers real world practice in various contents. I was checking a tweet recently of different conversation where HRs were threatening people online that you don't use AI to write your resume or your cover letters. And I saw feedbacks also from people responding to say, sometimes or most times is used to help people rephrase their word. It's their CV, it's their job title, it's the jobs they've done. AI has just been able to help them use the right language, use the right word, making sure at least they're being able to communicate their ideas. Because a lot of people have been able to fail from their jobs or even running a business. And AI has been able to be a great tool to be able to at least help them tell their stories to the best understanding, especially with people whose English is not their first language.
Got that. I love that perspective. And so now we're just about wrapping it up. I'm definitely going to be continuing to raise the bar, and I am making sure that the immigrants have a platform to get their stories told. We love having being able to have the diaspora come together and have these different perspectives. And so before we go, where can people connect with you online?
So you can connect with me online, Charity Chase on my Instagram, my full name, Chaste Inegbedion on LinkedIn. I want to be able to connect with everyone so that we can continuously tell the story, like Pamela has mentioned. There should be a connection of love, irrespective of border, irrespective of race, irrespective of gender. And that's why even my second book, The Period Passport, was able to at least prove that story too of gender equality. And if you check it now, it's also on Amazon too at 99 cents. Go get it in your Kindle copy, buy for a friend, share the stories. And if there are things you want us to also improve on, we also have that listing there. Send me a DM and we'll be interested to at least see how much more we can celebrate our achievement and also fulfilling our American dreams.
I love that. And Pamela, what are you going to continue to raise the bar on?
we're working on a women's health and fitness expo, as well as continuing the work on peace and healing through forgiveness. And as I've been navigating this COVID journey, I've been walking outside every morning in the grass, in the morning dew, for the healing and for the exchange of releasing what I don't need and then taking in what I need from the earth. That's how I'm raising the bar, to encourage us to get outside and connect with where we came from, the earth.
There you go. Well, there you have it. This has been the latest episode of the Majestic View Show. I am Zakir with the Majestic View from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Chase, where's your Majestic View from?
From Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the support of my darling wife, Roxanne Stewart, and I am so grateful she has lent our support in making sure this book is out, published, and it's selling right now.
Yay. I'm Pamela Marshall with the Majestic View from Gainesville, Florida. Thank you so much for joining us.